everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Welcome to second talk of 3D Art Career Sprint with Marlon Nunez. These
Hello.
workshops are for starting progressing your career as a 3D artist. And today we're covering overcoming the fear of failure and
Overcoming the
how to
failure.
how to ship great work. I'm Hannah. I'm your host for the event. As I said, this is Marlon Nunez, character artist, Art Heroes co-founder. And the agenda for the session today is main reasons for fear of failure or imposter syndrome and how this can impact your personal development in your career and most importantly, strategies from professional artists to combat these feelings. Stay until the end, guys, because we will be raffling a scholarship for 3D printing program. Marlon, come on, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. So, we're going to be talking today about overcoming the fear of failure. So, for whoever doesn't know me, let me just give a quick introduction of myself. Just going to move to this slide just quickly and then I come back. So, my name is Marlon Nunez. I'm a character artist and I've been working in the industry since 2010. I started working in video games as a junior artist, started moving around, and then after a while, through good methodologies and a lot of, constancy, I will be talking about the vector concept, just like a little bit of briefing. I started working more in cinematics, VFX, Netflix shows like Love, Death and Robots, like Game of Thrones cinematics, Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed. So at this stage, I mostly focus in digital humans. That's pretty much the kind of stuff that I do. Okay, but before I start everything, since this talk or this presentation, I will keep it short. I don't want to bore you guys, but it's all about trying to get practical. How we as an artist, how our brain operates, and mostly how we can overcome these moments where we feel like we're freeze, we're stopped, right? Before everything, I just want to. I just found like this nice quote because something that I truly believe in, and it's about the success, right? Like what is success? When you see all these big artist names, like are they successful? Like who is successful in life, right? In my opinion, successful is just about being happy with whatever you are doing. So one of the main keys here is that make sure that whatever you guys are doing, you just like it, you just naturally like it, and also for whoever of you that are just starting into the digital art in general and you still don't know what type of field you want to jump in, just try to experiment because this career, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful careers I ever think of. Like people you get paid just to draw and sculpt and working in games and just making creatures. Like it's amazing. So I truly believe that it totally worth it. So try to consider this like a successful is just about being happy, right? So a little bit talk about just about myself before moving on. I've been working since 2010, but it took me around like 6 years to get actually to meet my proper freelance job. The reason why is because I was traveling quite a lot. So at the beginning, I was not taking that seriously. But then in one point, in 2013, I remember that I decided, all right, I'm going to take this seriously. So I started building some habits, which I'm going to be talking a little bit. And also something very important that I want to talk about is about the famous 10K hours. If you guys care about this concept, it's crap. Don't listen to it. It doesn't work, 10K hours, because it's not about the quantity of time, but it's about quality time. You're going to find out a lot of artists that they can be working on the same asset or in a project for ages and they still don't move on because at the end of the day it's not about the amount of time but just to make sure that you're using the right methodology. So eventually it's about quantity, right? So in my case, since 2017, when I got this opportunity, I started like thriving and I started like just getting better and finally builded my, professional portfolio and also my professional clients, like in general, since then it's been doing great. And now I'm focused in creating digital humans. This is what I do for fun, for living pretty much all the time. Also, something that I want to tell you just quickly. I also like teaching. So in 2019, Maria and myself, we created Art Heroes, that is a 3D online academy, and we specialize in characters. All right. And just for you to, so you know, we're running a mentorship program and we're going to have a $500 discount till September 10th. So you guys are aware of, because the reason, let me just explain you, the reason why I created the Academy is because during all these years, I noticed that there were no much information about the process, and also the information was kind of gathered all around. So I wanted to create courses, a whole program that is able to get you from zero to hero without any struggle. So for me, it was very important how to do that to different people and also try to help them and develop through this career. All right. So you guys are aware of our 3D Academy. And just as a personal side, I always been working in personal projects on the side. That's something that I always advise everyone. I know that people have families, have jobs, have a life, which is absolutely fine, and it's very good, to be honest. But try always to keep a project aside. And the reason why is because, in my opinion, being a character artist, or being, let's say, a digital artist, in my opinion, is 40% artist, 60% researcher. Why I mean that? You are going to spend a lot of time just trying to figure out how to do stuff, try to challenge yourself how to do new stuff. Okay, so it's very important for you guys. Try to keep yourself motivated, so you are always going in the right direction. I'm going to be talking about that in more practical way, but I just want to give you an explanation through my own experience. Okay. Anyway, let's start the real presentation. So let's start the journey. So no worries, you got this. First of all, I want to ask you a very important question. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? I think 2 years, in my opinion, is a very good midterm goal, because in 2 years you can literally be a absolutely different person, absolutely different artist. You can even switch a career in 2 years. I've experienced that with different friends of mine as well. So I think it's very important to start already projecting yourself in this midterm goal. So feel free to respond here in the chat. If you guys have more questions as well, just feel free to post them in the chat, because at the end of the day, we're going to have a Q&A session and we can go through them. Also, do you have any plans about changing your lifestyle? There is any career change upgrade that you want for you to experience? And mostly, what is your biggest struggle? We're going to be talking a lot about the struggle and some practical tips. So take these questions, note them down, and if you feel like answering them, we can go through them later on. Overcoming failure. All right, so I just found this graph the other day, and I thought it was kind of cool, because when it comes to when you are creating something, when you start a new project, when you are starting pretty much anything, at the beginning we are overmotivated, right? So at the beginning is when we pretty much hold all of our energy, right? So at the beginning you are very good, you start the project, and then when you find out that you are actually missing some information, you're missing some knowledge. In my opinion, I hope you can see my mouth. In my mouse, in my opinion, this part of the curve is actually when you start learning. This is the learning process, and in my opinion, this is actually the most important area as an artist. Here is where I actually differentiate a good artist and a bad artist. It's about all the practical, let's say, uh, things that these artists do to be able to accomplish all this period, so eventually can finalize whatever she started. And also something very important, in my opinion, try to put yourself a deadline. It can be a soft deadline, but it's important so you are not always working on the same projects forever. Okay. I'm going to give you some few more tips, but I just want you to show you this graph that is absolutely normal, this initial struggle. And in fact, it's actually very important, this struggle. What made you actually thrive as an artist? I heard once this concept about the vector. What is the vector? It says here, to make sound, something has to vibrate. What does it mean? In my opinion, what it means that you have to move on. You have always to move. You have always to be active about something. don't stay stationary. So the most important is that for you, it's very clear where you want to see yourself in 2 years, or how you want to finalize a project, or how you want to finalize something. But it's very important that you keep moving, you keep advancing, even if it's just a small step. It's a step towards your goal. So it's very important about the fact about, even if you're a struggle, try to find ways to keep moving around. Maybe you can tackle the problem from a different way, or you can start from a different part, or there are different ways to go around it. But it's very important always to be advancing. Okay. The imposter syndrome. So I think as an artist, it's been a popular, topic for the last years. I start hearing this quite a lot for the last few years, and I just want to share with you one graph that I think it kind of gives a very, it kind of put literally on the table what is the scenario, what is the demographics when it comes to imposter syndrome. More or less, like a 30% of the artists, they do have imposter syndrome. It is a 25% of other artists that they also have imposter syndrome. And then there is other 50% that they also have imposter syndrome. So what I try to say with this, and it's something very interesting, because everybody has imposter syndrome. Like literally, you as an artist, you're supposed to have imposter syndrome. And the reason why, I was reading a lot about it, and the reason why is because as an artist, you are a perfectionist. There are a million reasons why you think about failure, or why you think that people may think that you are not good enough or something. It's normal, because an artist, we're always looking to get better. So the 3 tips that I'm going to give you here to be able to overcome the imposter syndrome. Now, tip number 1, and I think is super important: acknowledge your thought patterns. Every brain is wired differently. Some people are more rational, some people are more creative. As an example, in my case, something that I found out last year is that I have ADHD, which pretty much makes, in the short term, is that I'm super hyper focused for certain things, and then I extremely bad from other things. And for me, it was very important to understand how my brain operates, because in that sense, every time I was having a low time, I was able to know how to get out of it. So I'm going to share with you like one website, so you are able to do like some personality test. But I think it's very important to understand how is your brain, how your brain works, to understand when you have this chain of thoughts about I'm bad, or I'm not going to get over this, that you are able to get through this eventually. Okay. Also, embrace the creativity. Try to find ways to stay creative. As an example, just find out recently that one, in my case, one type of art constantly gives me creativity. Probably you guys are aware about Arcane, about League of Legends, the show. I noticed like this type of aesthetics, this type of like a stylization. For me, for some reason, my brain started like just getting hyper creative. And I think it's very important to understand which areas, or what type of, what type of designs, what type of books, etc., can keep you creative. So try to look for those, so you are always trying to stay in that mood. Other tip is that I just recently started buying a bunch of art books. Art books are great, because also can give you an extra inspiration. So you are not only searching art station, searching online. I think art books is a very good source of inspiration, so you guys are now aware of it. And finally, obviously, accept that you are not perfect, because no one is perfect. Okay, so it's normal to be down, and actually it's good to be down, because if there is no down moments, there is also no overcoming, and there is no improvement in that sense. So very important to understand. I think the first one is the most important, and notice how your brain operates. Okay. So enough BS, let's get practical. So I don't know if you guys care about Myers and Briggs 16 personality types. It's a very interesting, like a psychology approach. Pretty much these two folks kind of think that humans, or like humankind, can be divided in 16 personalities, and I think it's kind of going the right direction. So I invite you guys to take this test. You have I just posted a link that I found online, but you have this kind of stuff in everywhere, so you can just Google it. But I find this very interesting, because you get to find more about yourself, and again, you can start understanding better your brain, how it operates. So In my case, for example, I just find out that I'm an architect, which I truly agree because I'm extremely rational about everything that I'm doing. So it's good to know how, yeah, how your brain operates. I want to stop, like talking about your brain, because it's all about understanding your brain and trying to get ways to get out of any problem, right? Setting good habits. Okay, so when it comes to good habits, I think one of the most important things that I want to be discussing is what I said before in the beginning of presentation, is that always try to make sure that you have a personal project aside. The reason why is because you need a challenge. You always need a challenge. If there is no challenge, there is no improvement. Eventually, there is boredom, and then eventually you get into a less creative mood. I found this graph very interesting because it kind of resumes a little bit what is my approach here. So what you're trying to do here is trying to get into the flow state. What it pretty much means, if you see this graph here, on the vertical axis, we have the challenge, how difficult is the challenge. On the horizontal line, we have the skill that you're going to learn, or your improvements, right? So if the challenge is too strong, if you're trying to get something that is overcomplicated, you're going to get anxious, obviously. So you need to make sure that whichever project you are in, you are able to achieve that challenge. It should be something that you don't know how to do, but it should be something that still you know that you are able to do it within your capacities. Okay. Also, if it's not challenging at all, you're going to get bored. I'm going to give you one very interesting practical scenario that happened to me on August. Actually, August, just a few weeks ago. I got approached by a new client, and they asked me to make a creature, and I had no idea how I made that creature. Literally, I had no idea. Well, I mean, I had idea, but I knew that there was a part of the process they involved some technicality that I didn't know how to do it. I decided to accept the challenge. And just by doing that, I had to relearn Mari from scratch because for that I had to use the node graph system that was kind of new to me. I have to implement it at the same time while working. But for me, it was very important because the remain part of the process I was aware of, but this part of the process gave me this challenging area where I realized that my skills were getting better. And just within a week, I was already able to understand it perfectly. I already implemented, and even better, I was getting paid for it. So there is nothing better as an artist that you always get challenged somewhat, and mostly when you get the challenge that from yourself. So I really invite you guys to kind of think about it. If there is certain technique or certain project that you want to jump in and you're afraid about, maybe it's too difficult, no worries about it, because it is supposed to be difficult. That's the whole point. It's supposed to be challenging. Okay, so I invite you guys to take one and trying to do it, trying to get some soft deadline to make sure that you learn it, and obviously trying to get into a nice routine so you are able to get those skills while progressing into this new challenge. Okay. Here I want to divide also when it comes to how to also don't have issues while you are working, or also when you are starting as an artist. In this case, I want to talk about new artists in this area. So it's very important, obviously, for all of you new artists that you have your portfolio ready. By that, I don't mean having thousands of like a whips or works. Just for example, in my case, I have hired artists in different companies, and I really don't care if they have just one piece of work. I literally don't care. What I really care is that one piece of work is already showcasing all the skills. And also something that I tell all my students, and it's something that I would like you also to kind of do it. Clean up your portfolio. By that, what I mean is that if you have a recruiter or you have a potential employer that want to hire you, they're going to be checking your portfolio. If it happens that you have in your portfolio a piece from like a 2-3 years ago that obviously you still like it because it's your personal work, you're emotional about it, but it's not showcasing your current skills, remove it. I know it's hard. I have to remove pieces that I really liked in my portfolio as well. But I think it's very relevant to be rational here because at the end of the day, there are a lot of candidates and they are going to hire which is the best. So try to make sure that you're always showcasing the best version of yourself. In this case, in a portfolio. So trying to make a cleanup, it's good to be emotional. Just drink a beer or something and go over it. But at the same time, is very important. Okay. Also, train your soft skills. By that, I mean how to speak with your lead artists, how to speak to fellow artists. Try to don't be shy. Ask questions. I mean, I've been working in several companies, and you realize that at the end of the day, we are all humans, and we all want to have fun. Like, it doesn't really matter. So it's very important to build relationships here in this industry as well, because you never know when are you going to need those as well. So train your soft skills, go to gatherings, like social events, 3D events, etc. It's very important. If you are starting, obviously aim for an employee or contractor position. So for the first years, you are just getting used to it, getting used to the industry. In my case, when I started, I was lucky enough to get as a contractor, and I remember the first 6 months were horrible because they're literally it was a new language for me because I'm no native English speaker. So for me, it was kind of hard at the beginning, and also where I realized that there are so many, there's so many terms, so many words I didn't know. Obviously, a bunch of techniques that I had no idea about, and you're constantly poking people to look for, you are always have questions, and always poking people around. So at the beginning it was hard, but it's very important these first 2 years to try to make sure that you have your income safe and you're meanwhile you're learning, and then you get into a more senior position after 2 years. So it's very important to keep it easy. And if you want to keep it as a freelancer, which is good as well, if you feel like, you need to build a portfolio, a client portfolio, okay? And somewhat being active in social media. The reason why is because all the employers, they're eventually looking for candidates in social media. You name it, Instagram, ArtStation, LinkedIn. Just try to be active and just be aware of this kind of stuff. Okay. If you are not native English speaker, you have to learn it. Sorry, it's unfortunately all the softwares are in English. Most of the clients, they come from a whole bunch of different countries, Japan, Poland, etc., and the common language is always English. So try to always improve those skills. In my case, for example, I was going to a lot of language exchange, meetings and this kind of stuff. You start traveling quite a lot, so you get to improve it. And for me, it was very good because I learned English while traveling. I didn't learn English while working. For me, it was more of a traveling issue, traveling way to solve it. So it's very important as well. And again, very important, make that vector happen. So always move, always move. Doesn't matter if it's one step or 2 steps that day, it's fine, but always try to move towards that goal. Again, remember, where do you see yourself in 2 years? That's kind of the kind of direction that I want to get you. So you can have the right questions and the right answers just by asking that question. Okay. So for you who are already working, and mostly for freelancers in this case, because I'm a freelancer, so I kind of got a good habit when by freelancing. Train your clients. Make sure that they understand who you are, and they don't get to use you. By that I mean, like, for example, if you have a client that starts talking to you, I don't know, like at 7 p.m. and it's not your working time, don't reply. Literally, don't reply, because you need to get them used at what time they can reach you. Also, when it comes to salary, try to make sure that it's very clear what salary you are aiming to. We're going to be talking about salary just in a minute as well. So it's very important for every client. You need to train them. At the end of the day, they just want the overall quality, so you're going to deliver, which is fine. But it's very important during the process that they understand your personality and how they can deal with you. And you should be able to set those bosses. Okay, very important. Be careful with cheap gigs. If the client goes cheap, it will be cheap. By that, I mean that it's going to burn you. So if you have a project that maybe is very cool, I mean, I don't know which type of projects you guys might be in or not, but if the client is cheap, if they don't willing to pay you what you deserve, I tell you, don't take it. Don't take it because those clients, I remember my first years, they are the worst. And they are going to be demanding you everything. So just don't take it. That's my personal advice. Just forget about them. Something very important is about mind maps creations. So I found out like 2 years ago this app that is called Notability. I'm going to show you just later. Me as an artist, I'm very graphical. So in my case, I need every time I have a plan or I have a project or I have a live project, I like to put it on a paper. In my case, I put it on my iPad, so I keep it digital. And this app is great because you are able to plug everything in. I'm going to show you just now, but it's very good. I think as you as an artist, having these mind maps is going to help you to can understand which are the steps that you need to take on. Okay. And finally, just briefly, do sports. I mean, it's very important to don't stay all the time in the computer. Don't work more than 8 hours. Super important. And obviously, and I always claim that don't work on the weekends. On the weekends, I always say I'm off. Don't talk to me. I'm like, just literally just get offline. That's super important. Regarding the app Notability, this is just example of what I did in 2021. I had this project of mine where I had to learn about metahumans. I want to learn about Unreal Engine. I want to learn about hair systems inside Houdini, a bunch of different stuff that I wanted to implement. And it was crazy because in that moment when I created the mind map, I didn't know how to use Houdini. I didn't know how to use Unreal Engine. I didn't know about metahumans. I had to explore everything. So I created this small, mind map, and just by kind of having graphical for me was great. And also something very cool about Notability, in my opinion, is that you can also set up links. So if I get to find a good tutorial that I was showcasing one part of the process that I need to learn, I just put it on the app. So when I come back to the app, I can just click and open that tutorial. So it's just great in that sense because the app it literally lets you use like GIFs, links, like YouTube videos, etc. So very useful, extremely practical, and let you stay focused because in one single picture you are able to see the overall project and what you have to accomplish. Okay, so very cool. Just take a note here because I still use it after year and a half using it. It's great. It's a great app. Career. So I'm going to throw you here another question. So feel free to answer them, or we can go through them in the Q&A session. What are you passionate about? That's one of the questions that I even ask myself all the time. As I said before, I'm passionate about digital humans, but the truth is that I'm not only passionate about it, about digital humans. I'm passionate about a whole bunch of different stuff. And something that I realized last year is that I like a lot rational thinking. I like a lot rational thinking. So since then, I've been working a lot with Houdini, Houdini, node system. I'm creating my own HDAs. In Unreal lately, I'm working a lot with blueprints. I'm learning a lot of coding as well. It just feels very interesting because it keeps me motivated. The challenge is there because I don't know how to do it, but at the same time, you are advancing towards somewhere. In this case, for example, my project is create a small video game where I'm able to use metahumans, where I'm able to use blueprints, where I'm able to use HDAs, creating Houdini. So it kept me motivated enough so I'm able to get into that flow that we were discussing before, right? So it's very important to ask yourself, like, what else you are passionate about? Like there are a whole bunch of different areas. Which part of the process you need to practice more? Obviously, that's part of the goal. And also which areas you want to grow more. I think as an artist, we all want to live on our profession. So it's very important that no matter what we are doing, we are happy about it, but also we make money while doing it. And we're happy about that too, of course. So something very important when it comes to money. I think the next, let me just say it now since I have it here. It's about rates. Okay, so it's something that I always plug this in all my presentations because people get to ask this kind of stuff. So if you are starting as an artist, in this case as a freelancer, your rates are always going to be between $150 and $350. And then if you're a senior position, it's going to be plus 500. And then if you are quite pro, you can just go for 700 and so on. So don't feel pressure about giving these numbers to the client. At the end of the day, if the client is good, if the client is really willing to work with you, they're going to accept. It's very natural that they get to negotiate with you, which is good. That means that they actually want to work with you. But try to always get around these rates, because these are the rates that are mostly working on the industry. So you guys are aware of. And then I just want to talk a little bit about hardware. Make sure that you get yourself a workstation that you can upgrade on demand. Try to be sure that even if it's a laptop or if it's a computer, try to be sure that you're able to replace items over the time, especially lately with all the new RTX. For example, I just recently had to get a 390 RTX. I have to replace my graphic card, so you don't have to buy a whole new setup just because of that. So try to be sure that you are modular with your hardware. Okay. Obviously, work with a second screen, always 4K resolutions, because some software pretty much only work in 4K, for example. And then obviously, Wacom, Wacom or whichever tablet you guys use. And something very important that I want to talk, I just add that recently yesterday. Watch out your posture. I just put myself a special pillow for the back. It's funny, but we artists, we spend a lot of time like sit down. It's very important to watch out your posture. I try to do that recently quite a lot. I also have a desk that can get lift. I end up not liking it, so I cannot recommend it. But for example, that pillow that you get in Amazon for like a 20 bucks is great, because it literally fixed some spine issues that I was having, and some serious spine issues that I was having, which is great. So watch out your posture, guys. Believe me, we are not perfect. We are not young anymore. We're getting old, so try to watch that out. Okay. And then just the last thing, I just try to small talk about work versus life. Try to keep yourself alive while working. Remember, we are here to enjoy the process. We are here to enjoy it, the path. So make sure that whatever you are doing, you like it, but at the same time, try to keep, don't forget about humans around you. It's very important. Okay, so that's pretty much the talk. So I wanted to keep it just 30 minutes. I did great. It's just 31 minutes. I did amazing. So I'm just going to get open to questions now. So Hannah, what do you think? Shall we start grabbing some of those questions?
I am muted. Okay, I'm not muted anymore. Right, so yeah, so we've got someone asking, as a freelancer, how do you get clients?
In my case, most of the clients lately, most of my clients are actually start getting older clients, and at the beginning, I was getting those clients through social media. Funny enough, I was lucky enough that social media worked for me. Obviously, it happened to be through projects that really resonate, because in my opinion, they were challenging enough to me to improve to the level that I wanted. So in my case, was using social media. Something that I can recommend you lately a lot, guys. LinkedIn is working quite well when it comes to recruiters and employers. So start using it, because it feels like it's picking up quite a lot.
Awesome. And also, people just wanted confirmation on the day rates that you put. Was that per day?
It's per day. It's always per day. I think one of the guys was asking per hour, but I don't rate per hour. Per hour doesn't worth it. I go, even if they want me for 1 hour, I will rate them for one full day, because at the end of the day, it's a whole day that I'm going to spend. There is no such a 1 hour project. So always rate per day. Okay. I'm going to keep it here so you guys are aware of it.
And do you have any resources that you found useful for ADHD or people with ADD?
So we have ADHD people in the house.
Well, this is a question. Yeah, why not? Like, if you found something useful.
I did actually. Obviously, sports is the thing that fixed me straight. Whenever I'm very like I cannot focus, because the brain doesn't stop, talking to you and this kind of stuff. Normally, when you do exercise, it helps you quite a lot. And also, in my case, it's very helpful keeping more than one side personal project. Um, and I'm going to explain why. Something that I found out last year. Sometimes some of those projects are so challenging that I see myself getting stuck. And when I get into that period is when I realize, man, I think I'm getting stuck. I'm not advancing. So just getting a different project where you're learning a different set of skills that you need to have now, and switching it helps quite a lot to balance. And believe me, you start moving up in both at the same time. And it really helps me just to stay motivated. Because at the end of the day, it's not about ADHD or this kind of stuff. It's, to be honest, ADHD just attack. It just attack. I mean, you don't have any problem. You're just another human being. You just get to think in one special way, like everybody else, right? It's not about staying motivated. So what I'm trying to do is keep myself motivated through more than one personal project at the same time, and try to make sure that they are challenging enough. Yeah.
And do you have any strategies for people returning to the industry after going on hiatus? So, like,
Uh,
have taking a break after people go taking a break
it doesn't
or
really
doing something
matter.
else.
That it doesn't really matter. It's a break or not a break. At the end of the day, I mean, for example, in my case, I took a break this year of like a 3 4 months on purpose because I wanted to kind of chill out a little bit. There is no strategy, but just literally depends what you are aiming for. Because if you are aiming for a contractor position, probably the best thing that you can do is just talk to recruiters. They are constantly searching for new candidates. In my case, for example, as a freelancer, I have to keep myself again in social media active. I'm not super active, but I knew that if I want to get clients again and to the same rate that I was doing the previous years, I need to start working these personal projects and start showcasing that. Obviously, eventually I have friends, I have other clients that they start getting back to me once they know that I was like open again. So as I said before, try to make sure that you build your circles, try to build that client portfolio, try to make sure that you, even if you go in a break, you have always a backup of like people that you can be counting on, clients or friends or this kind of stuff. So yeah, I only can give my personal advice in that sense. That's what I did. Yeah.
And how do you not fall victim to charging less? And how do you compete with people who charge less as a freelancer?
That brings the question about a cheap client. So if that means that the client is willing to pay cheap, which means that it's going to be a problem for you. So if the client, I'm going to give you one very good example. I just get contacted by, well, I'm not going to say the name of the studio, but it's a studio that I really like quite a lot. So we got the interview. I give them my rates. Everything was fine. We pretty much agree about starting. And then by the time they got back to me 1 week later, they literally destroyed my rates like crazy. I was so surprised that it feels like I didn't say any number, which puts me to the position like, it's a client that I really like, but at the same time, it doesn't worth it because I know what that means to me. I've been there before. It means that they are going to just overuse you, push you. They're going to increase your anxiety level. You're going to get burnout. I'm not going to jump into that. If I get into a client, I know that I can manage that client. For example, right now I'm with a different client, which I love. They like me as well. And right now my anxiety level is zero because we know each other in that sense. So it's very important to be able to refuse clients. Don't feel sad or bad about it. Just it doesn't worth it because it's all about your health eventually. Who cares about the money if you are just anxious in a daily basis? It doesn't worth it. Just say no. Don't go below.
Um, and how do you challenge yourself without pushing yourself too hard and getting burnt out?
Yeah, well, I mean, a little bit of burnout is kind of good sometimes, but obviously, as I said before, I think having two different side projects is always the good ratio for me because normally when there is a project where I know that I can get really burned out, I can switch to the second one, so I'm able to go around it. And when the burnout comes from work, obviously, work is work. I mean, it's normal that you get sometimes burned. For me, there is nothing else that just trying to stick to the deadline. Sometimes I do myself like mind maps when I see that I'm struggling with like a deadline. I do myself a mind map, and then I start like in a weekly basis checking inner goals. Like I need to finalize the texture by this stage, finalize the green by this stage, so I can move on. So I use Notability for this kind of stuff, the app that I showed you before, because it's super helpful. Keep in one single picture everything that you need to do to know, so you can focus one by one. So you don't have so much information. So you know that Monday you do this, Tuesday you do that, Wednesday you do that. It helps me quite a lot doing this kind of stuff.
And can you say some more about your working routine? So, like, you work from home, right? How do you
Yeah.
manage your time?
Mhm. In my case, I don't work more than 8 hours. That's I have a hard stop. Also, I have kids, so I literally cannot even work more than 8 hours. So at 5 p.m. I finish. I start at 9 a.m. Finish at 5 p.m. I always have a break. Something that it helps me quite a lot is going to the gym 3 times per week. So for some reason, it keep my I don't know, my endorphins high or something. So it keeps me in a good mood. And just that, just literally, I think that the most important is having a very well established routine where you know that you cannot break it. And again, don't work more than 8 hours. Don't work during the nighttime. Also, it's not good to have too much screen time during the nighttime because of the blue light. So you are able to have catch a good sleep later on. Sorry, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks. Nice midnight session.
Midnight session for you. But yeah, just try to keep it 8 hours daylight, and then just try to do something else. For example, I don't know if you guys know this. I play instruments. So I have my electric guitar, I have my piano in the other room. I play a lot of music. So normally during the day, I will just switch on the guitar, just get a solo, or I switch on the piano and start playing piano. It chills me out being out of the screen a lot by playing instruments for some reason. By the way, if you guys happen to play guitar, there is this app that is called what's the name? Songster. What's the name? That Songster. That is great. It's great. It's on the iPad, so you can play all your favorite songs and this kind of stuff. So yeah, playing music it helps me quite a lot.
Cool. Lots of people want to know if you're still doing much ZBrush and raw modeling, or if it's mostly scan faces, cleanup, and shifting to Messi.
It's interesting. Mostly doing a lot of creature work. So it's a lot of ZBrush. Yeah, for the last 3 months, I think it's mostly creatures and monsters. Right now, I'm, for example, working for a creature for a game cinematic, and it's just like zombie stuff. So a lot of ZBrush lately. But it depends on the client. Like for example, when I've been working with Blur, it's mostly scans, and most of the time, actually, clients start from scans. That's very normal. They start from scans, and yeah. But when it's personal project, I obviously never use scans. It's all with my own methodology that you guys have it in our heroes likeness course, by the way.
And if you've got multiple side projects running at the same time, how do you manage your time in between and set realistic
Yeah,
goals,
yeah,
stick to them?
yeah. So what I used to do, what I try to do always, I try to when I say don't work more than 8 hours, I try even to work less than 8 hours. So for example, today I try to put this challenge of just 6 hours. I literally stop at the 6th hour because I noticed that I finished what I wanted to do for the day. So for the next 2 hours, what I did, I start working on the personal project. Sometimes it happens that at night I see myself, with in creative mode. We artists are weird. We just like, fuck, I need to do something about this. And I just see myself start, like learning something or trying something unreal or, like trying this kind of stuff. But I try to do that within even this working time. And that's the cool thing about being a freelancer is that you can manage your times because at the end of the day, it's about delivering. So in my case, it kind of helps me quite a lot having these breaks also with personal projects.
And like on the other side of things, like what happens when you feel stuck or you feel kind of like a bit burnt out? What do you do? You just take a break, or?
Yes, yes. When you are burned, I literally take a break. I cannot even able to play piano or nothing. Sometimes you just literally, and if I'm extremely burned out, I literally go to the gym. If when it's very bad, I literally just go to the gym. That's the only way. Just literally just go for a run or go for the gym. That's the only way. And then next day you just take it better. Yeah. Normally this burns out don't stay for too long. It's fine. It's like it's not like you can be burned out for the whole month. At least for me, it doesn't happen. It's just maybe 1 2 days, but normally just with a good routine, good exercise, and mostly having this mind map. As I said before, it just helped me to kind of keep moving around. Yeah.
Loads of people are saying that they're feeling burnt out. It's all right, I feel you.
No,
Everyone's feeling burnt out. It's a hard couple of years. I mean,
no, of course, of course. I mean, it's normal. I think the most important about how to deal with burnout is about being organized. It's all about being organized. So I really, again, I'm going to point this Notability app. Try to make sure that you understand what are the steps to be able to get out of there, and just go through it. It really helps me. Just being logical about one by one, one by one. You don't have to take the whole ball in once. You just go and tick off each of these stuff one by one. Yeah.
cool. Have we got any more questions? Anyone? I'm slowing down. Do you do any more ZBrush live sessions on any other places apart from Art Heroes YouTube, Marlon?
It's either heroes, sometimes events when I get invited. I just recently did a stream for Pixologic. Well, recently in June, I think was my last stream. That you guys can also find it online. I'm also talking about likeness, and actually I make a likeness from scratch. So yeah, I mean, I just get invited. I said Pixologic, but actually it's not Pixologic. It's Maxim. I'm
Yeah,
still getting confused.
this. And someone's asking, you've been part of cinematic work, mainly high poly. Do you ever do low poly retopology? And do you have any recommended processes or program?
If I do retopology,
Do you ever do low poly retopology? And do you have a
low
recommended process program?
poly retopology. I mean, I do retopology, of course. I don't know what you mean by low poly, though. I mean, if it's extremely low poly, probably not. Because the games that I've been working, and obviously cinematics, we're talking about, I mean, every character is 200, 300, even 500 triangles, thousands triangles. I don't get to work with very low poly in general. Not really. I do the topology in Max. I know it's weird, but I like 3ds Max to do the topology. So yeah, I mean, just using the ribbon tools. But I know Maya has exactly the same type of tools. Blender has the same type of tools. Just quad by quad. Something that I try to do a lot is start with C remesher, using C guides to drive the loops, and then from there fixing the topology. I try to do quite a lot because C remesher sometimes works pretty well for the purpose. Yeah.
And so, any advice for those that have newly graduated from college? How can they know when they're ready to step into the industry?
There is no ready, because at the end of the day, when you're going to get hired for the first time, you're going to be a junior no matter what, which means that doesn't really matter where you are, what have you been studying. Once you are in a company, you literally need to get used to the workflow, to the pipeline, etc. So it's a new relearning process. Um, it's about how much of a challenge you want to accept here. If you feel like you want to work, you're going to find work, believe me. And something very interesting about this industry is that, especially since like 2 years ago, I think there is a lot of work. And I'm not talking about just games or cinematics or VFX. The industry is massive. The industry is fashion as well. There is like a virtual events. There are like a, mobile phone. There are so many different spheres that you are able to step in, even with zero knowledge in some cases. I think as an artist, though, obviously it would be very good to have one piece of portfolio, one piece of art in your portfolio. So you already are showcasing what you are doing. But there is no readiness. There is no readiness. It's more about the challenge, the same type of challenge that I was talking before. If you're willing to accept the challenge and deal with that stress, because it's going to be stressful. But believe me, you get over and then you're going to thrive. Believe me, it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
And we've got someone here who's got 3 years in 2D animation, and he's trying to switch to 3D. So he's
Great.
learned Cinema,
Yeah.
4D, Blender, Substance Painter, but he doesn't feel confident enough. And he's got a portfolio and a demo reel, but do you have some advice for him specifically?
Yeah, if you want to step as a 3D, well, character artist, or it's like a motion graphics? Because cinema 4D, I never seen that in the industry except motion graphic or sometimes advertisement. So all the studios that I've been working with, they stack to the same software, Houdini, Maya, Max, or Blender. I never seen anybody working with Cinema 4D. So if you want to work in more like a production, like a VFX for games, you need to switch to one of those, for sure, for sure. But you are working with Blender, which is good and it's good enough, definitely. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Just have your first portfolio ready, work. Yeah.
And do you think you're, we've got someone asking here if you're, they say they're 46 and they're saying, asking if they're too old to start. Do you think there's like a level where studios start kind of going, not sure about that?
Say that again. Say it again.
So we've got someone asking, they're 46 and they want to know if they're too old to start, to break into the industry.
How to break in the industry?
Yes, but they're saying that they feel old. They feel old, and they're saying, are you ever too old?"
Yeah, I mean, I got these questions quite a lot. I don't know, like, I think, I mean, it's always obviously scared seeing like younger people with the same quality level, but at the same time, if you think about it, doesn't matter if you are old or you are young. It's quite irrelevant because at the end of the day, you are producing a piece of art. You are not hired because of your face. It's very interesting because some of my colleagues in different studios were talking about different ages. I've been working with character artists of, I have no idea how old they are, but they look like 50 something, and they are very good, and they are actually very good, and no doubt. And also I've been working with character artists that are actually younger, that can be 22, 20, not much, and they are good as well. And to be honest, there is no such a question about aging in this industry, which actually brings me another question. Is like, if I ever going to step out of the industry, because technically speaking, especially since everything works online, and you are still able to do the job, you are always capable to do it. So
Yeah, I mean, why should you? I mean, you've got the most experience, and then you just keep upgrading
I
your
mean,
skills, you know?
I wonder if in one point, I will be able, for example, to switch the career, or like just move on to something else, or I don't know. But it's very interesting because I really feel like aging here is absolutely relevant, because the only reason why I would think aging is important is because you are not able to learn at the same speed, which so far I haven't noticed. I learned exactly the same speed when I was 20 years old. Um, and some of my colleagues, again, they're 50 something, and I see they learn new stuff at the same speed. So I don't see any aging here at all.
And how important do you think going down the college route is to get into the industry? Do you think your portfolio alone can get you as far as a degree can? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for you that are in college, it's kind of useless. I know it's hard to say because for example, I'm engineer by degree, so and I never needed that since I started working. And some of my leads and some of the people that I admire here, they have ever gone to college. This career is very technical and artistic at the same time, and it's something that you cannot learn in college. I mean, I know there are like, there are like degrees about it, which can be good. I haven't heard many about those though. But when you are hiring, you literally don't care about even if you finish high school. I mean, I haven't ever seen any question about it. They just care about what you're able to do. In fact, I think my first lead artist, remember Lucas, I think he never finished high school. I think we have this, this, and he's an amazing artist. And I think he even never finished high school. And he's good, he's amazing. So it's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I think we're almost at time. Has anyone else got any more pressing questions?
Any other question, guys? Just feel free to ask it. I'm going to stop the screen here. I hope you guys find this useful, especially about. I think I want to talk a little bit again about like how your brain operates. In my case, it helped me quite a lot trying to understand what type of personality I had or how my brain operates, how rational I am, so I'm able to step out those problems every time they're coming in. I think it's kind of it's very practical to do this kind of exercise. So I really invite you guys to check the personality test. Also check about trying to understand your brain. Try even sometimes talking to people just helps. So yeah, it's probably one of the things that I want to put in this event, in this talk.
Okay, one
All
more
right.
question.
Mhm.
Would it be better for junior artists to have a more diverse portfolio to demonstrate their skill set to look for their first job in the industry, or have a
That's
more specified portfolio? It's quite a good
That's very
question.
interesting. What is going to happen here is that you're going to approach different type of clients. When it comes to like a high productions, they're always going for very specific. So they are going to target whoever is able to do that specific job. So if it's a creature artist, they are going to just check people who's doing creatures. Obviously, if you start being more diverse in your portfolio, you're going to be aiming different type of employees. Maybe we're talking about mobile games, where as a character artist, you have to do everything. I've seen that. They do rigging, they do the animation, they do even the skins, they do everything, which is very interesting. It depends what do you want actually here. I personally prefer to work in productions because it feels like I get more motivated. So I would suggest try to specify in one or two areas because that's going to help you to get into a probably better paid gigs, more motivated gigs, better IPs as well. So try to get one, two areas and stay focused on those for the time being.
And lastly, we've got quite a few people asking about character mentorship programs. So I think it's important that we talk a little bit about this. So
Mhm.
basically, guys, it's a 7-month program. And during the course, you make 3 characters. You make stylized likeness, and last one is hard surface robot. And this is the newest addition to the program. And it's don't do that. You're going to put me off. it's no, it's pre-recorded content, but then there's also fortnightly one-to-ones. There's fortnightly group sessions with your mentor. But if you go for the one-to-one option, then you get placed with a mentor, and you'll have weekly 30-minute sessions with them. We have a feedback forum and a community forum, and it's like a really great opportunity to network with lots of different artists at different levels. So yeah, there's lots of different chat rooms, and yeah, it's really exciting place. There's a jobs board, internships, brutal feedback.
A lot of
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, it's really exciting. And we've got all of the information can be found on our website under character mentorship. As Marlon said earlier, until the 10th of September, we've got a $500 discount. Yeah, so if you want to grab it,
I,
you
I,
can.
I
On
yeah,
the
I
website.
absolutely recommend you for everyone who's interested into character art and don't have more or less clear how it works. It's pretty good because we literally take you from zero. And I mean, we have had a lot of success stories, right, Hannah? Just
Mm.
literally guys that they just finish school or they are dropping their whatever job they're doing, and then after 3 months start working on the industry after taking the courses.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
a lot of us, like a lot of our students that have the majority of our students that have done our programs, they're in work within like 6 months to a year, and like even we had one student from mentorship, he was in a job within like 3 months, like 3 months into the mentorship program. It's yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like we have great instructors. There is always feedback going on as well. Yeah, I truly recommend you. Obviously, I created some of those courses, so I'm I know what you're going to get teached as well. But at the same time, it's like it definitely gets you to that knowledge, so you are able to get challenged enough to keep moving forward your goal that is working on the industry. Again, it's like the best industry in the world, literally the best industry.
Okay, and lastly, this is really lastly, we need to choose someone. We need to announce the winner for the 3D printing program. So you need to shut your eyes and you need to like choose a name, okay? So everyone can start commenting.
I need to
Ready?
what?
Shut your eyes, do like this, and then
Okay.
choose a name. This is how we did it earlier, and we got no complaints, so it seemed to work.
But how I choose? I open my eyes at which point?
No, point to a name on the screen. Go open the chat.
I point the note to the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. But
Okay,
with your
get it,
eyes
get it.
shut.
It's the screen, yeah. Polygedon. Polygedon.
Ooh, you did it. Yeah.
Polygedon, congratulations. My finger
Okay.
got there.
Okay, drop us a message on Instagram and we will send you the coupon code for 100% scholarship to 3D printing program. Sorry. Cool.
I think there are some guys asking questions about trying to contact us. I think if I don't know which channels you guys are using. If I'm not wrong, the best is sending an email, right, Hannah?
Yeah. So I'm always on the other end of Instagram. There's two people always on the other end, multiple people on the other end of Instagram. So you can send us a message on Instagram or you can email us at academy@artheroes.co.
Yeah. So if you guys are not able to reach Instagram, getting Hannah or just sending the email. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we did it.
Cool.
I
We did
hope
it.
everybody.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget we've got another tomorrow. Today you'll get a replay email and you'll get a reminder of what time the session. Oh, we lost each other for a second. Yeah. You'll get a reminder again tomorrow, an hour before the session. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Bye.
Have fun. Ciao.